ESPN welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Today on NFL Films Presents Football in the Big Apple. Jets, Giants, Titans. Titans? Whatever happened to them? And who is this New York coach with over 400 wins? Plus, Bill Parcells and Jim Fassel.
Lombardi used to say that the great coach was one half teacher, one half SOB. You think that's true?
Yeah, I think so. I think there has to be because, and of course, Bill has a lot more experience of it.
A lot more experience at what?
Being a head coach in this league.
Oh.
No, yeah.
Being an SOB.
No, I didn't mean that.
Hold on to your seats for this play, folks.
What kind of a call is that? This is when the big dogs come out.
This one for toss.
NFL Films Presents is brought to you by Edge Pro Gel, the official shave gel of the NFL. Edge Pro Gel. Lose the foam, save your skin.
They're two different teams representing the same town. In 1997, for the first time in many years, they were both winners.
The Jets have sole possession of first place in the AFC East for the first time since Week 12 of the 1986 season. There you go. There you go.
We set out and we were going to fight for something, and we fought for it. And I'm going to tell you something, man. It's been a while since it's been like this around here. But you know what? We're back.
Does New York football of the late 1990s resemble New York baseball of the early 1950s? There are similarities, but also some significant differences.
There doesn't seem to exist the rivalry between the Jets and the Giants as there did between the Dodgers and the Giants. Why is that? Why do you
Because the Dodgers and the Giants were in direct competition when they were in New York. They were in the same division, playing each other for the pennant. We're not doing that.
The only sense I have of being out and about and talking to both Jets and Giants fans is there's a sense of pride of which one of these teams can get up the ladder faster and stay there.
Originally, the Giants made that successful climb. In the early 1960s, under head coach Ali Sherman, they were an NFL power, winning 3 straight conference titles. New Yorkers loved the Giants. In fact, many of them considered Super Bowl III to be nothing more than a preliminary bout that set up the main event.
Even though we were the world champions in professional football, we still weren't perceived as the New York champions until we did something about playing head-to-head with the New York Giants.
Technically, that first ever meeting was an exhibition game, but the effect it had on the losing team was all too real. 2 weeks after the Jets' 37-14 victory, Ali Sherman was fired. It took 17 years and 4 more coaching changes before Big Blue's pride was restored.
Now that Parcells is with the Jets, half the Giant fans consider him a traitor. The other half consider themselves newfound Jet fans because Bill is there, but they're not really Jet fans.
Parcells, you should have stayed with us. You're going down. Thank you. Goodbye.
I don't think so, Fassel. You got a lot of work to do with that team.
Now, when you came here and you opened up the newspaper, and almost every week you'd see something like this. Tuna 10. And then here, see at the bottom, the other guy, Fassel. What did you think when you read all this?
I just put all that on my mind. When I came here, regardless of who was coaching the Jets or what was going on around us, is I had to prove myself.
Fassel proved to be just as capable, though less cantankerous than his Jet counterpart.
You're going to be throwing up about every 5 minutes listening to me.
Yeah, we're going to set a tempo, and the biggest thing that's got to happen is line. You get up, get down, and boom, we're gone.
Stupid. Stupid.
Hey, great job, Hammer. Aren't you way to play football, man? Nice job.
I'm starting to think you're stupid.
It's a hell of a job of keeping our focus and coming right back at him, huh?
That's what loses. That's why you're 1-15, Baxter, right there.
Now, I know I've told you 100 times to get away from the line.
Now, cut it up in there, or I'll get me another punt return. I don't really give a Yeah, that's right. That's what you're going to be doing Sunday when we go to Seattle. You're going to be watching the game in New York on TV.
Do you close practices?
Yeah, except for we let the beat writers, the people.
Now, Bill, why'd you laugh at that? Why is that funny?
Well, I didn't close practices when I was with the Giants either.
But your practices are closed now.
Now they are.
Why?
Well, I've learned.
So we had all
what keeps
building.
people from coming in around there?
They're not allowed. They got the security. You can't get anywhere near it. Everything's fenced off. Nobody watches practice.
Yeah, I know. I'm for that.
Oh, I know.
Ironically, Parcells gave Fassel his first NFL job. Shortly after Super Bowl 25, but before his resignation 4 months later, Parcells hired Fassel as a Giant assistant.
He taught me how to get on the Stairmaster one Saturday. We were both down there. He said, come on in here, I'll show you how to. I just got in here that first week. I remember that you were in here working out on a Saturday.
Was he doing the Stairmaster?
Uh-huh.
You have a cup of coffee on top of the
No,
Stairmaster?
quit that stuff. I'm running now.
Yeah.
All right?
I'm running a lot now.
You ever got one of those elliptical trainers?
I got one in my basement.
I got one in my house. Boy, they're good.
Yeah.
Take the pressure off the knees.
I've got the Trotter 685 and that Precor elliptical.
Yeah, right. Those are good. Really good.
But now we're going to the Super Bowl, Joe Robbie Stadium. We're going to visit. We're going to be visitors at Joe Robbie Stadium.
We gave you our stadium.
Visitors.
You can't even
Thank
make it.
you. Thank you for us. We're going to the playoffs. Super Bowl.
Yeah, okay.
Super Bowl.
See you in the playoffs.
98.
Nuts.
A Giants-Jets Super Bowl would restore the drama of 1950s New York City baseball, with Bill Parcells cast in the role of Leo DeRocher. Once the manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers, DeRocher switched to the Giants during the 1948 season. 3 years later, the man who once said, "Nice guys finish last," was on the winning end of Bobby Thompson's shot heard around the world, arguably the greatest moment in New York sports history.
I've heard people compare you to Leo DeRocher. Do you think that's a valid comparison?
No. You know, I have a tremendous feeling for the Giant organization because of what it did for me. And so deep down, it would be hard for me to root against their success. And particularly in light of Mr. Maris still owns the team and what he did for me, I couldn't ever root against him.
You're saying that you're really a nice guy.
No, I'm not saying anything. You form your own opinion. I have mine about you.
That'll end this show.
Yeah, I think that's about where we should end.
And it goes back to Colorado College, 1964. That's 34 years ago, for Christ's sake. I got to watch this guy.
Bill was the
Can
assistant
you
student
imagine
coach.
this?
I was a
playing.
running back.
I wasn't a student coach. I was gainfully employed.
You were
I thought you
coaching
were
and you
just
were
a student
playing?
coach.
Student coach my ass.
I didn't know that.
He was playing at Colorado College. I was coaching at
You were
Hastings.
coaching is right.
Yeah, that's right. Coaching at Hastings.
When we return, New York's forgotten football franchise.
New York City's Canyon of Heroes has an echo all its own. The greatest athletes, the greatest moments, they all grace the New York stage. This is the town where legends are written, where history is made, and where games can seem larger than life. But one chapter of New York sports history has vanished without a trace. Across the Harlem River, on a place called Coogan's Bluff, a housing project now stands on what was once the Polo Grounds. This was home to the Giants, Yankees, and Mets. But there is no mention of the New York Titans, who played here from 1960 through 1962.
Somebody said, "Did you play with the Jets all your career?" And I said, "No, I played the first 3 years of the New York Titans, you know." And
we didn't laugh at them. The people laughed at them. The people that knew they were in town, and there weren't many.
I remember the empty stands, and I remember the guys wondering whether they were going to get their checks or not. and whether or not the checks would bounce or whether they'd be good the next day.
It's kickoff time for National Pro Highlights. And this is your Pro Highlights quarterback, Harry Wismer.
The Titans owner was the colorful sportscaster, Harry Wismer. Wismer dreamed of owning his own team and saw his opportunity in the newly formed American Football League. He hired Sammy Baugh as his coach, but unfortunately for the Titans, Wismer's vision was bigger than his bank account.
He really thought that when we hit New York City, we were going to have an average crowd of 40,000 to 50,000 people. And when that didn't happen, he was on such a short shoestring and a budget that he just couldn't function.
Going to Harry's apartment, and the bedroom was like the ticket office. So there'd be all these thousands of tickets spread out on beds and floors and everything. But that was the office.
How I let him talk me into going up there, I don't know to this day. Biggest mistake I ever made. Worst damn place I ever saw. We used to play there when I was at Washington. That's where the Giants played their game. But it had been run down and it was dirty, and we never worried about the people in the stands because we had them outnumbered and we damn felt safe all the time. We could go up there and whip everybody that was at the game.
The crowd was so small that I was able to go up and shake hands with everyone that was there and congratulate them on coming to the game.
They sat all the fans in one section so that when the television camera was on the fans, it would only be on that group. And they actually played canned applause over the PA system.
I walked into the dressing room and I heard this clanging. I couldn't figure out what in the heck was going on. And I opened the door and one of the equipment managers was in there and he had a trash can. And he was beating on the side of this trash can. I asked him, what was he doing? He said he was running the rats out.
Things weren't much better when the Titans went on the road.
They would come out to play you, and they were kind of what you'd call a hot sheet team. That is, they would come into town at 1 o'clock in the morning, check into a motel for a 7 or 8 o'clock game that night and tell their players, you can sit on the bed, but don't pull back the covers. We got a special rate that they don't have to remake the room, so you can't sleep, but you can sit on the bed.
Paychecks bounced, players washed their own uniforms, and hitchhiked home from practice. Still, the Titans played on. They were 7-7 each of their first 2 seasons, and with receivers Don Maynard and Art Powell, they had one of the AFL's best offenses.
From playing against the Titans, you couldn't tell that they were concerned about the financial problems. They stepped on the field and they tried to hand you your helmet, and they played tough and they played aggressive.
And I think that tells you a lot about the type players that we had, that they would have probably played for nothing because we actually were playing for nothing.
By 1962, the Titans were bankrupt. The AFL owners feared a collapse of the New York franchise might take down the entire league, so they kept the Titans afloat. Finally, a group headed by Sonny Werblin bought the team, renamed it the Jets, and in 1965 signed Joe Namath. 3 years later, in their new Shea Stadium home, the Jets won the AFL championship. Linebacker Larry Grantham was one of 4 ex-Titans still on the roster. Don Maynard was still there as well, and teaming with Namath, he became the most feared deep receiver in football. Maynard, Grantham, Curly Johnson, and Bill Mathis, number 31, all were former Titans who played in the Super Bowl upset of Baltimore. At the final gun, it was Larry Grantham who took off with a game ball, completing the long climb from Coogan's Bluff to the summit of pro football.
It was probably the happiest, most fantastic moment of my life. You know, I got a picture on my wall in my office that it's not in color. It's Larry Grantham in a New York Titan uniform. I'd look at it every day. There's not any time that goes by in my life that I don't realize where we came from and where we wound up.
Basically, what it means to me, it's an identity. It was a great tribute to the old Titans team, 4 of us, that actually lasted, long enough to win a Super Bowl. I know that we, on that particular day, that we were world champs. We kicked Baltimore's butt. And that makes me wear that with a lot of pride.
The lovable Big Mouth of Brooklyn. Next on NFL Films Presents.
It's Wednesday night in Sheepshead Bay, and neither God nor man will be heard under the Brooklyn sky. The coach has the floor.
Gentlemen, Saturday night starts the season. We haven't done a damn thing. And we're playing against the team their whole season rides on, kicking our ass. They got us out there, so we got to be ready for this ball game, big time. Come on, let's go. Put it together. Let's go.
You know, as a group, football players can get revved up. And I am the master of revving them up.
Hello, Dan. I'm glad you made it.
Yeah.
Get your ass in gear. Let's go.
In his 42 years on the job, Robert Pudgy Walsh has won more games than any college or pro football coach in America. Professional being what his Brooklyn Mariners are not. Pudgy pays his semi-pro players exactly what he makes, which is nothing. So just fielding a team is an accomplishment.
Okay, let's go. Kickoff team.
Get all the new guys.
We need all the guys. Come on, get over here now. This is going to be interesting. All right, you want to be on the special teams? You want to be on the kickoff team? Of course you do. Okay, let's go. Billy, you're on it, you're on it, you're on it. Hey, big man, you got to move faster than that if you want to play football for me. You're not moving at all. Move your fat ass. Come on, Sean, move it, baby. Move it, run, run, run. Way to go, baby. Way to go. Come on, Frankie, 40 years old. I know you can move it, baby. Way to go. All right, this doesn't look like a football team after about 2 months of nothing.
I'm sitting in my office here, and I have my executive secretaries or executive assistants, as I call them, all the bartenders handle all the messages, you know. The whole operation comes out of here.
I mean, you gotta understand, fathers played with their sons, and then their sons played after them. We have 3, 4 generations of people that played here. They love it. They love the game of football. And we give them an opportunity, not we, Pudgy, and the coaching staff to play good football with good guys.
The last year the Dodgers played baseball in Brooklyn was the first year the Mariners played football. Not much has changed, including Pudgy's playbook.
It was Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, 1962, and Allie Sherman had a show at that time. The Allie Sherman show. He was coaching the New York Giants. And he went up on the board and he put up their screen pass. I said, all right, we had practiced that Friday. We put in the screen pass. And the screen pass became an integral part of the Mariner offense. Allie Sherman's screen, we stole it. We call it the Mariner screen now, being that Allie is not coaching anymore.
Let's get that screen down. It always goes, baby. The screen always goes.
Football's a very simple game. It's a fundamental game. There's nothing they're doing out there that's so new. Nothing. I mean, they may put in a blitz pack. I know the NFL. NFL lives by the films. They live by the video. We don't have that luxury. These guys work. You know, we do jobs. We'd rather do it like the guys flew the planes years ago by the seat of our pants. You go on that sideline. You got your team. I got my team on this sideline. We're gonna play football and let's see what happens.
Get on my face before I spit in your face, punk ass. You ain't even dressing up.
We don't need that 15.
Punch me in the face, Pudge.
So let him punch you in the face. You're wearing a face mask.
We got it. That's why we got it.
We got it. You know, damn it. Stop telling me Chris Jones got 15 yards and it's against the other team.
He foams at the mouth. Sometimes he gags on the sideline.
No, but that's all the big mouths. All you just shut up. You're all a bunch of morons.
Yeah, he does yell, but I know his bark is much worse than his bite. So I know him, but to guys who don't, man, they think he's a raving lunatic.
Macquarie, who got beat on that play. Who? Get him the out of there. That is the dumbest call I have heard in my life. Time out! Time out! I tell him, listen, you're dealing with a very volatile individual here. And as long as you leave me alone, I said, it's fine. But if you do come up anything that I say to you personally during the game, I don't mean it. Look, I don't need you coaching defense. Shut it up now. I don't mean it about your mother, your brother, your sister, and you know, you guys got to be aware of those clips down there, even on a quick kick. These guys got to go to work tomorrow. I don't want my guys' knees taken out.
In Pudgy's world, football may be hard, but it's never work. Football is a game. Work is what he did for 39 years as a New York City firefighter.
Yeah, you pull up sometimes, you say 5:30 in the morning, and somebody's screaming, his kid's trapped in there. And you go in, and there's a long hallway, and you're going down the hallway, it's nothing but black and heat. And you're going down there, and you could feel it, you could feel the heat and the smoke. But I survived. These guys up here didn't, you know, up in the wall there. Fitzpatrick and Toomey, two Mariners, both played for me on the team. And I tell them that. I said, you know, so when you're out there playing football, play it with the utmost. Play it like Larry Fitzpatrick did. Give it your all. Taking it right to them, and we're going to take it to them all night, damn it.
The Mariners bring Pudgy another win, number 420.
Good job! Good job!
With 500 wins on the horizon, Pudgy Walsh walks on ground untraveled by any coach before him. And it's been a long walk. Long enough for Pudgy to learn that you can never really measure it in wins or losses.
Let me tell you one thing, though. My wife is my best friend, and the longest hallway you ever go down is the hallway of life. And my wife's gone down hand in hand with me down that hallway. She supports me 1,000%. What I do. She would never let me retire from this. What am I going to become? A fat old man? I'm fat, I'm old, but I'm not mentally old, you know what I mean? Come on, Mariners, everybody in! I consider myself very lucky. I thank God that I'm still able to step out in the football field, be healthy, have a lot of fun, kick some serious butt most of the time, and go back and have a couple of beers with the boys. That's what it's all about. We gotta be a team, okay? You have to be a team first. Am I making myself clear? Yes, sir. Okay, and what do you say we all get together, go back to the Mariners, a couple of beers, and be a team? Let's be a team. Get it in, guys. Let's go. Come on. Get it in. Let's go.
Mariners on three. 1, 2, 3, Mariners!
Next week, only the strong survive, and we found 3 of them. From a village in Vietnam to the fields of Texas. Who's Dad? He played with the Cardinals 1 year before World War II and 1 year after. In between, he survived the Bataan Death March. And what does this survivor have in common with Forrest Gump? Find out next week on NFL Films Presents.
NFL Films Presents has been brought to you by Coca-Cola Classic. Always the play of the game. Always Coca-Cola. ESPN thanks you for watching this NFL Films production on behalf of the National Football League.